Hi everybody, I hope y'all are doing well. I hope y'all are having a good day today. I thought today we would go ahead and continue on with the identity series, and this time talking a little bit about why goals don't work. So the question here is, why don't goals alone work? And the reason they don't work is because there is a gap between who you really believe that you are and the goal. So I'll kind of be talking about that and how we can bridge that gap or even eliminate the gap altogether, which is the best way to do this. Because what you are right now, or what you believe yourself to be, is just one version of many possibilities that you could be. So what you have is the power to choose, but you're not able to probably see all of those choices in front of you. You're probably limited to one version of yourself, and that one version, of course, is limited. So if that's the case, you really attract who you are at that moment. So whatever you're appearing as, or whatever your identity is currently, unless you've made some big internal shifts at the moment, nothing is really going to change a whole lot. You may see some things change in your environment. You may see some things change that you are yourself doing. But internally, the identity shift from one reality to the next, or one identity to the next, your choice there is not really a choice you're making. You're still kind of working in a subconscious area. So what you want to be is very conscious of what and who you truly are. So your true identity and what the real true reality is that we're living in. When that is realized, then you are infinite, limitless, boundless. There is nothing that can cage you or say that you have to be this way. You have the ability to choose between many infinite possibilities for this particular identity or form that you're appearing to be as. So, and it's as simple as really just aligning or really choosing that other identity. So why is there this gap? The gap is there because of all the conditioning and subconscious material and things that we have that started as early as us being babies. So even though there is no time and space for all of this to develop in the way that we feel it's our identity, there has to be this feeling of the past, that we had this past, this feeling that we had these memories. And although all those pasts and that memory is essentially as real as me talking here on this camera, it really didn't happen, and it's not fixed in that that's the only option or the only past or memories that you've ever had. Those are the ones that are appearing right now because that's what you're identifying with. That's what you're choosing to identify with. So whatever you currently choose to put your attention on or to believe in is what your reality will happen. So it's almost like magic. Whatever you're believing to be true right now is what's going to be true. Whatever you deny to be true is going to be denied from your experience. So something came to mind, kind of a little bit odd probably to some of you, I don't know, but there was a time where, and I shared this in a past video, where I had moved into a new house, and the new house was a house I really liked, and it was our first new house. Prior to that, we had lived in an apartment, so I was very excited, and my family was too. And well, come to find out, very soon after, only a couple days after that we moved in, I saw a ghost, and it was a little girl ghost in my daughter's room. And I didn't want to really tell anybody because I didn't want to stir up any issues. I kind of asked, was anybody feeling anything strange? And nobody said anything was out of the ordinary, so I figured it was harmless, but I needed to do something to deal with it. So I went around researching what to do, how to talk to ghosts, and I went down that whole rabbit hole, and I did talk to that ghost, but it didn't end up leaving right away. So anyway, eventually I did talk to the ghost and had it leave, but during that whole process of trying to get the ghost to leave, I had to purchase a few items that were kind of against my beliefs at the time. At the time, I was a Baptist Christian, and the items that I had to purchase to talk to the ghost, or that I chose to purchase, was like a pendulum, which is just like, it had a little rock at the end, and it would swing back and forth, or at times it would do kind of a circular swing, and that would indicate like a yes or no when I was asking the ghost questions. So I had to buy that and maybe some other items and crystals and things that I had picked up at the same store that I got the pendulum from. And so after the ghost had left, I was very relieved and very happy that I hadn't seen the ghost in a long time. And so I said to myself, you know what? I don't want this to ever happen again. I don't want these items in my home. And so basically I gathered up all the items, the pendulum and all these little crystals and things, and threw them directly into my trash can outside. And I closed the top of it, and I never once looked at it again. And what I noticed from that experience was that in that moment of just saying that I don't want this ever in my life again, there was other components to it. For example, I was spending time with the crystals, thinking that the crystals could do something for me. And while, you know, honestly, they can bring certain energies to you and things like that, it's more about your belief. If you believe in them, then you will have that experience of the crystals helping you with something, or the pendulum working a certain way to answer a question. But in that moment that you choose to throw them in the trash, or you choose to close them out of your life, in that moment, that ends. So that is how much power you have. It's not the pendulum that has the power. It's not the crystal that has the power. It's you that has the power. And you have the power to close that door or throw anything into the trash can at any moment that you want. Every moment is fresh, new, and renewed. So in this moment, you can choose to make a shift into anything else that you prefer to do. Or you can choose to close the door on anything that is currently in your life and you no longer want. It's that easy. But we put up all these barriers of things that are not really in existence, like what would people think? How am I going to do this? What if I lose my job? What if this or that? Well, every opportunity when something's closed, something new opens. And it's what opens is where your attention is. So if your attention is that you're not going to have a job anymore, or that you're going to have a realization and become some bump on a log, then that's probably going to be your experience. So you have the power. You have the power in your attention, in your intention, and in your words. So we've already talked a little bit about dreams and imagination. I sometimes use that word simultaneously. So I made a video about imagination. First, everything begins in imagination, and that is where your infinite sense is. It's able to imagine all kinds of things, and anything and everything that you imagine is already in existence in this moment. You're just not aligned to it in maybe what we would call the physical world, but you're aligned to it and you're able to choose it if you want. It's just you don't probably know that or tried that yet. But everything is present. So anything that you're imagining, anything that you're dreaming is here and now. And you can start to shift into that. And the shift could be immediate. And most of the times it is immediate. Some other things that develop over a little bit more time will take more time. But you have to keep your focus and attention in there. And it's not because time and space is real or that is dependent on anything. It's just the way that it works. So first you have to imagine or believe it. That's what you have to do, or dream it and believe it. Put your attention on it. But the biggest piece where I was talking about that there's this gap is whether you believe that you have that power. Do you believe that you have that power? Because if you don't, then you will not be able to meet that goal. So again, how are goals met, or why are some goals not met and others are? It's because we're here in the middle between what you are and what you want. There's this gap of not being adequate, not feeling good enough, not feeling like you can do it. But essentially you are everything. You are this, you are that, and you are everything in between, everything around. Anything and everything is possible and available to you. That's how wonderful and loving this is. So you have the choice. You have the power. If you don't believe that you have the choice and the power, that is where a lot of those things that you hear of from the law of attraction come in, like affirmation cards, maybe journals, or visualizations, the posters that people make, manifestation posters and things that people make, vision boards, all of that stuff comes in as an aid because there's this gap. So it's trying to, those items are trying to basically ingrain in you what your true nature is. So for example, I have something here, and I work doing sessions with people, and sometimes some people are struggling so much in life that they cannot see past their trauma. They cannot see past some of the things that have happened to them. It is very, very real to them, and they can't see past that at this moment. No matter how much we talk about this intellectually, they may be able to capture some things, but it's not going to make the change in this moment. They can definitely make that change, but they are having trouble seeing themselves outside of their trauma. So because I work with people that are like that, sometimes I do use affirmations. One of the things that is really effective with working with people like this is to empower them. And there's different ways of empowering people. This is just one very, very small way. But this is one way that kind of ties into bridging that gap. So to bridge that gap, you pretty much have to have embodied self-realization. So if you had an awakening of some kind, or you intellectually understand this to the point to where you're embodying it, you will automatically and naturally grow into your infinite divine self. But if you haven't had that experience, or you've had so much trauma that you are just blocked right now because of that, then you're struggling to see how easy it is to just choose and shift to the different realities. So in that gap, one of the things that a lot of people do is affirmations. So I was just going to show you some of them. These are some that I make for clients, and I just let them choose the ones that they like, and then they create their own. Now, this is not something that I recommend you do if you do align already with your divine self. If you already recognize oneness, if you already recognize law of truth and of love, if you already recognize that that is all there is, if you've had a non-dual realization and you see that there is nothing and everything, there's different components to waking up. I've noticed that there's like an evolution of different things that happens. But if you've had any of those, even including a glimpse, you may not want to deal with these affirmation cards. But if you haven't had anything like that, and you're just maybe like your mind is blown as why someone would believe this, or someone says this is so easy, then this is something that you can do to start to empower yourself and change your internal dialogue and beliefs about yourself. Because if you can change your beliefs about yourself to what is the actual truth, then all of this is not necessary. You can easily from that state learn how to shift and choose realities, or it's not really something you learn, it's just something you do at that point. So this is one of them that I've created. It says, I am evolving every day. So these you can kind of put up in your bathroom mirror. You can put them in your pocket, in your planner. I am fearless, because many people deal with fear, which ultimately stops them from ever making any change. Money comes to me easily and frequently. This is one that is very powerful to change the mindsets when you have a mindset, maybe when you grew up with family that always said, oh, we can't afford that, or we can never have that, or no, choose the cheaper version, or this or that. This is a very powerful one to change that mindset as well. So these can also change your mindset. And in changing your mindset, that slowly changes your identity and your reality. From being, let's say with that card, a person that is very cheap and limited with their money, to a person that is eventually going to have a lot of money and is limitless and has the freedom of financial security. Okay. So this is actually a Bible verse, and you can use Bible verses. You can use anything that speaks to you. Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. The Bible and a lot of religious texts and books are filled with the truth and the knowledge of reality, but people miss this or they apply it in ways that really don't benefit them too much. These are some cards here that are coming up that are often chosen by some of my clients. So these must be some cards that a lot of people are lacking in. So I am beautiful. I have a lot of female clients who choose that one. This one gets chosen a lot. I am enough. My worthiness is not in question. And all of these are pointing to, you know, your divine nature, that you already are whole and complete. There is no question about your worthiness. You are infinitely worthy. You already are that. You are everything in existence. So for example, this one, I am love. It's not just you are loved or anything like that. This is not something you're getting from anybody else. This is something you already are. When you already are everything, when you already are all of these things, that's how you're limitless. That's how you're infinite. Because it's not that you have to go to a store and purchase this or find the person that needs to love you. It's already in and within you. Everything is coming from you. So you already are love. You possess all the love. This one gets chosen a lot. This is probably the number one. I am safe. And I often ask people why they choose that one, and they just say that they want to be safe. They want to feel safe. And when you have a non-dual realization, or when you realize your true identity and your true nature, you realize you have this eternal safety net under you at all times. You never really live, die, or any of these things, and any of the choices that you make, whether you decide that they're good or bad, or you feel regret or shame, they didn't really happen. They're not happening to any real person. There is no others. There is no you. There is just this experience. There just is this life happening, evolving, changing. Of course, it's not really evolving because everything is, but you can choose to move through different timelines. You could choose to have a harder life. You could choose to have an easier life. You could choose to have a very interesting life, a very mundane life. Whatever your authentic self or heart wants, you can just choose. And all of that is already there available to you. So I wanted to kind of talk about that in that way, that creating this is not something you're really creating. All you're doing is trying to recognize your true self. So when I say creating, it sounds to be like you're doing this. It's not something you're doing. It's just something you're uncovering. You're uncovering who you truly are. And in that, you will find your power because it's all within you. So we don't have to actually create anything. We have to kind of destroy or disentangle this mess that has been created over time. Even though time doesn't exist, all our supposed memories create this identity that we appear as now, that acts a certain way, that has mannerisms a certain way, that maybe has taken a lot of things from their family and functions in that same sort of way. So I took some notes and things here. I'm just kind of looking down and see if there's anything else to talk about. So this is just like a journal that I give to clients as well. This is just a regular little composition book. And in this journal, it's not just a place where you journal with yourself. It's also a place where you can have your gratitude journal in the back. So mine has a gratitude section in the back. Mine has, and this is something I do more for clients to show them, but I don't necessarily need this for myself, but it is a very good tool, again, for bridging that gap when you're having trouble seeing that you are everything and you possess all the power. So it's not you, the person, it's just life, the way that it happens, what you are, what this awareness is. So anyway, I put in the back gratitude journal. In the front are some like goals or things that I want to see for myself. And in the middle is places you journal. I've never really been a person that journals a whole lot, but my clients benefit a lot from doing this, especially, like I say, the ones that are so blocked with trauma, because the majority of people I work with have very, very deep trauma. Of course, you know, through recognizing their true nature, that would just fall away. But it's not so easy when you're so deep into this so-called reality. So anyway, that's just showing you that journal. Let's see, I'm just gonna move around a little bit so I can see my notes. So this is a quote, and I may have put this on my community tab. I'm not sure if y'all ever check that. Sometimes I put little quotes and things in there. It says, we spend all our time and money and energy trying to change our experience on the outside, not realizing that the whole thing is being projected from the inside out. From Michael Neal. The way you see yourself and the beliefs about yourself determine what you can achieve. Align your self-image with your goals. So that, again, why we can't achieve the goals, we have to make sure that we are aligned with what the goals are. Now, if you already recognize your true divine nature, you're always aligned to every goal. That's why it's more important to work on your inner self and get past that trauma so you can have the realization, or that you could understand this more clearly. So inner work is very important. But if you are already aligning with your divine self, then you will already be aligned with any goal, because any goal would be possible for you. But for somebody that feels limited, you may not align with that goal. So what do you have to do to align with it? What do you have to change to align with it? For example, that money quote that we had just read. Let's say that you want to be a wealthy person. That's your goal. But currently, you're pinching pennies, you're rejecting to do a lot of things that wealthy people would do, because you say and limit yourself by saying, I don't have the money, I can't afford that. Even though you probably maybe even have the money to do it, but you're hoarding it thinking that that's going to make you more wealthy. You have to release. You have to release and receive. Release and receive. And the universe works that way. So when we're holding tightly to the money because we think that we're limited and it's only going to be so much and we have to hold on to every little bit we get so that we can have more and more, that's not how it works. How it works is you release it and you get back more. You release it and you get back more. You align with it and you believe that's what you are and you get back more. So you have to release. When you are holding on to anything in life, you will be limited. You will not be allowing for more receiving. So you have to release. Release that money, release that relationship, release that person, release that issue. Let it go. It will resolve itself in the most positive and best way for you, especially if you believe that. That's another mantra that you could probably tell yourself, is something like, good things are always happening to me. Everything works out for my favor. With that sort of belief, everything works out. So you have to keep that mindset. But when you think, I'm unlucky, nothing good ever happens to me, people always leave me out, I'm always rejected, then that's the experience you're calling and you're claiming in your life. So what are you going to claim? Are you going to claim abundance, or are you going to claim lack? So you have to align yourself with the goals that you want. So the things that you want, you have to believe that you can have that. You have to believe that you are that in order to get there. So this is just a brief little video about that. And I'm just going to look down once again and see if there's anything that maybe I've missed. So I've highlighted a few things. I'm not sure. Let's see what this one is. Only changing your behavior and not your identity can create a gap between the person you think you are and the couch potato, or the person you want to be, the athlete. So that's exactly what we just talked about. So, you know, somebody's wanting to be an athlete, a bodybuilder, you know, with muscles and all this stuff. And there's this gap there because they find themselves as a couch potato, currently sitting on the couch, eating potato chips, yet their goal is to be an athlete. So not only do you have to align yourself mentally and in your soul, what you really are, if you're not there yet, if you're having to use those affirmation cards, if you're having to use visualization boards, any of these things, then you want to start to align your environment with what your goals are as well, not just your mindset, because maybe your mindset's not all there, you know. So you want to start changing and shifting your environment. So what you want to be as an athlete, you have to think like an athlete. What would an athlete do? Would an athlete actually sit here and watch, you know, 6 hours of TV eating potato chips? No. So that's creating a gap from the couch potato and the athlete. There's all this room and space of things that don't align. So to jump from here to here is almost impossible. It's probably never going to happen. What's going to happen probably is that person's going to give up on their goal and is going to realize they're not aligned with being an athlete, and they're going to give up very easily. And then they're going to have probably regret and shame and negative self-talk based on that whole experience. So it's important to align yourself to your goal. Okay, let's see. So you have to create new beliefs, new labels for yourself for this new identity or new goal. Again, if you already believe yourself to be limitless, then you don't have to do a lot of that, because most of your beliefs have fallen away other than the belief that you are limitless. And so then you are in a good place. But if you are not aligning with that naturally, then you want to create new labels for yourself. So if you used to see yourself as most people see you as a couch potato, or mom and dad call you couch potato, and people at school call you lazy and this and that, but you're wanting to be this disciplined athlete, then you need to start to change those labels, either internally by telling yourself that in your own mind, and through your thoughts of reminding yourself, I'm an athlete, I'm strong, I'm determined, I am dedicated, aligning your self-talk to that, and refusing and denying anything that does not align with that. Same thing for your beliefs. If your beliefs before were that, or your beliefs are that you can't run, I don't know, 10 miles, or I don't know, whatever it is to be this athlete that you want to be. If you believe it can't be done, then that's exactly the sort of reality you're going to get. So again, what are you going to claim for yourself? So you want to leave your possibilities open and endless. So all possibilities are possible. Everything is available to me. I am available for anything, and everything is possible in my reality. So you want to speak in those ways, because as soon as you put a limitation in, that limitation becomes your reality in that moment. That's how easy it is. That's why it's so easy to shift or change realities, because in one word, in your attention shifting from one space to another, you've already created that change in this environment. Okay, so let's see. So there's some different things I've written down that I'd like to talk about the subconscious, and you know, all of those are stories and things that are occurring in this reality that isn't so real, but it seems to play a part in how humans function. So let's see. So this is just a little quote, and I don't see who said it, but it says, if you don't change the way you see yourself, the world isn't going to change for you. So something interesting that I noticed about myself before I even had the realization that all of this was just me moving and changing and choosing different identities or realities for myself, was that all of a sudden when I had my non-dual realization, everybody I came in contact with was much friendlier. The issues I used to have with people no longer existed. There's a lot more peace there. I was approached with a lot more love from people. People were very helpful. Naturally, things began to change for me. My health got better. You know, things that I wanted for myself became reality. So all of these things just began to happen, and it happened with me being unconscious to it. When I became conscious of it, that's when I realized that I was choosing these things based on the way that I was believing myself to be. But prior to that, I wasn't doing that. So anyway, when people do change the way that you see yourself, when that changes, everything around you changes. The way people approach you changes. The opportunities that are presented to you changes. The way you accept and receive things changes. The way you see the world changes. So before, a lot of times maybe I would have rejected opportunities or gifts or something from someone. because, you know, because of pride. You know, I didn't want to accept something that, you know, I felt like was a lot for myself. But now I see everyone as part of me. And then I also see the part that all of that is me. You know, I can accept anything and everything I want. Things come to me for a reason. So when something comes to you, accept it, receive it. And when someone needs something, give it, allow it. And the more flow you allow for in and out, the more that happens, the more that you get, the more that they get, the more peace, the more harmony. Everything becomes aligned naturally just by allowing, receiving, releasing, just everything, allowing everything to be easy. Not so much in thought, not so much in the past or the future. We're here in this moment. So that is a lot of it as well. You know, when you change your beliefs, everything changes around you. That's how this is happening. So these are just some questions for yourself at this moment, just to kind of gauge what's happening. Who do you tell the world you are? What words do you use to describe yourself? What are those labels that you have for yourself or other people have for you? Who do you want to be? What part of your identity is holding you back? So start to take a look at that. Is any part of your identity holding you back? Like in the past, I made a video and I talked about how I was always considered a shy child and sometimes even a shy adult, you know, and I feel like that maybe was holding me back a little bit. So you want to see some of those things, those labels, those ways of being. Are they holding you back? Who do you really need to be to have who you want to be in your life? So you want to start to make some internal shifts within yourself by asking questions, by clearing things up, by getting rid of that stuff that's not true, by pruning away anything from this self of yours that you've somehow created unconsciously. Taking away and pruning away those parts of you that are not you. And I can kind of end on that Michelangelo quote that he had said, and I had originally said in one of my original videos about identity, and he says, every block of stone has a statue inside it, and it's the task of the sculptor to discover it. So that's who you are. You're the sculptor, and this is that block. You have to discover that masterpiece in there, and it's there. I promise you it's there. So look for it, be it, embody it, and live your best life. We all have different desires, different things we want. While my authentic life and what I want could be very different than yours, it's worth it. You find out what is right for you and go for that, and you can have that life. You can have that reality and that identity. You can make so many changes in the next month or two, more than you've made in your whole entire life. And that's what I've been witness to, and this is what I'm trying to share with you. So the next time we'll talk a little bit about the subconscious, and again focus a little bit more on attention and where your attention is going. So if you want to incorporate some of the affirmation cards, some of the journaling or any of those things, those are all positive things. Anything that begins to shift your mindset is in the right direction, because you are limitless, you are boundless, you are all these things. All of these things you're going to be telling yourself that you are them. You just forgotten. Okay, so I just wanted to share that with you. If y'all have any questions, comments, please comment down below. Like this video if you like this video. If you have anything else that you want from me, you can always email me. My email is in the description box, and I have a book in there that I've written about my twin flame journey if y'all are interested in that as well. I hope y'all have a good rest of y'all's day, and come back for the next video. Thanks for watching.